Many people believe that the energy transition solves a fundamental problem, but that assumption is incomplete because it doesn't remove constraints, it rewrites them. Let's start with a simple comparison. An electric vehicle uses roughly 3 to 4 times more copper than a traditional internal combustion engine car, while also requiring lithium, nickel, cobalt to function. So when you shift from oil to electricity, you are not eliminating resources dependency, you are replacing one side of dependency with another. Now extend this beyond the vehicles. The power grids, charging networks, solar panels, and wind turbines all depend on large volumes of industrial materials, copper, aluminum, silicon, and of course, rare earth elements. Which means electrification is not just an energy shift, it is a material shift. Now look at the global distribution of those materials. Lithium is concentrated in South America and Australia. Nickel is heavily concentrated in Indonesia. The copper production is dominated by a small number of countries, including Chile and Peru, for example. So even in a renewable system, resources remain unevenly distributed, and that creates a structural constraint that cannot be engineered away. Now go back to the earlier data. In 2000, China's primary constraint was capability. It needed external technology to build its industrial base. By 2025, that constraint has shifted. China has a manufacturing capacity, integrated supply chain, and rapidly expanding energy system. But it still requires large volumes of imported resources to sustain that system. So the constraint didn't disappear, it migrated from technology to resources. And this distinction matters because technology skills, it can be learned, replicated, and improved over time. The resources do not scale in the same way. They are finite, geographically fixed, and require years, sometimes decades to develop. Which means no matter how advanced a system becomes, it cannot expand it beyond the available of its underlying materials. Now take one more step. Every industrial system is governed by 3 layers. Technology determines efficiency, manufacturing determines scale, but resources determine limits. And limits define the boundary of the system. This is why we are seeing a clear strategic shift. The countries and companies are moving upstream, investing in mining, refining, and long-term resources exercise, not simply to generate profit, but to secure future capacity. Because once resources are constrained, everything else becomes constrained. Supply chain slow, energy system tighten, industrial output plateaus. The system doesn't collapse, but it stops expanding. So here is the core idea. The energy transition didn't solve the constraint problem, it redefined it. The new constraint is no longer technology, it exercise to resources, and that leads to a simple but unavoidable conclusion. Technology sets the ceiling, resources set the floor, and when the floor is constrained, the system cannot grow, no matter how high the ceiling is. That is the real bottleneck of the next era. And once you understand that, the final question becomes inevitable. What happens when countries compete under hard constraints that cannot be scaled away? That is what we will explore in the next episode.